Do you know what this cute little device is? It's a bunch of coins in water in a plastic bag. You know what it does? It does something very useful in these times. It keeps the flies away. This is the season of flies. And what I have found is a device like this, you hang it up, flies stay away. This is a very good use of cash, isn't it? Today's world, we are discovering more and more interesting uses of cash. I'm Ashok Korwal. Welcome to the second video on Finance at Work. In this video, I'm not going to talk about flies. I'm going to talk about cash. Cash is what really is important in the world today. Today's lockdown world, lots of companies are struggling to stay alive, to start up again, and the only reason really, or the main reason at least, is that they don't have enough cash. It's not because they don't have profits on their books, it's not because they're not profitable enterprises, it's because they don't have cash. Today's world, cash is king. Cash is what counts, and that's what we're going to talk about.
One thing we can certainly agree on is that everyone needs cash today. Of course, you can go to a bank and the bank will give you cash. But the trouble is, as we all know, banks give money only to two kinds of people. Either those who are already their customers or those who don't need it. Unless you're one of those categories, you're not going to get cash from a bank. Therefore, you have to figure out ways to generate cash from your own business. And what we want to talk about today is what is cash, how to compute it, how is it different from profit. These are the fundamentals of finance. So let's start with a very simple illustration. This illustration is really just an illustration and no more than that. In the table that you see before you, you can see 4 months of data: sales, costs, and receipts. Let's suppose that your business is doing well, it's growing fast, sales are increasing from 100 to 200 to 400 to 800. In short, essentially doubling every month, which is great, right? This is what every small business wants to do. And the costs are roughly 80% of sales, and they essentially have to be every month pretty much the same as a percent of sales. And let's say they're 80, 160, 320 and 640 as the table says. However, let's say that it takes your customer 1 month to pay. If your customers in general take 1 month to pay, what will you get in the first month as a receipt? Answer is 0, because nobody's paid you yet. So when do you get paid for the first month's work is in month 2. But notice that the costs still have to be paid. If you're hiring workers, if you're purchasing materials, you still have to pay those costs, right? In which case, your net inflow in month 1 is minus 80. As the business grows, your sales grow, your profits grow, but what happens? Your net cash flow gets worse and worse. It goes from negative 80 to negative 240 by the time you get to the 4th month. And this is really the tragedy of growth. Why do small businesses die? It's not because they grow too slow, but because they grow too fast. They can't finance this growth, essentially. How do you finance this growth is what we need to think about. Okay, in case you think that was just an illustration with no real practical application, let's take a real story. And this is a real story of a company called Commodore. Way before Apple came up with the Macintosh or the Lisa and all those things, there was a company called Commodore, which is actually a leader in the computer gaming business. This table shows you the sales, the receivables, and the inventory of Commodore in year 1, year 2, and year 3. What can you see here? Clearly, sales are growing very nicely, 100% in the year 2, growing a little more in year 3. Receivables are also growing, inventories are also growing. But the market at this time actually thought Commodore was doing great. It was actually touted as a company that had a great future. But you know what happened in year 4? Can you guess by looking at this? What do you think happened in year 4? In year 4, this company actually went bankrupt. It had to close down. Why? Lack of cash flow. you can see that its receivables are growing faster than its sales. Essentially, it has got sales, but nobody is paying them. And the faster you grow, the faster you die. This is an example, an actual example of what happens to companies that grow too fast. Very well then. In a real company, how do you actually calculate cash flow? There are two ways to do it, of course. If you start from first principles and simply count the cash coming in, count the cash going out, and pay no attention to anything except cash, you will get the right answer, because that is of course what it's all about. Unfortunately though, what happens in the real world is that you have to deal with accounting data. Somebody gives you an accounting statement which talks about profits and whatnot, which are mostly not cash, but you have to derive the cash from those numbers. So let me show you how to do that. Broadly speaking, this is what you do. You start with profit after tax, which is there in the financial statements. You add back the depreciation. I'll tell you in a minute why. You subtract the increase in receivables, increase in inventory, add back the increase in payables, that is your payments to vendors, and then you subtract the capital in expenditures and investments in product development and anything else. This is your net cash flow for that period. So this is the mechanism by which you compute cash flow. Now the first thing we need to decide or agree on is, why do you have to add back depreciation? The answer is because depreciation is not a cash flow anyway. Depreciation is simply an accountant's way of telling you that you are going to use this asset for 5 years, 1 year has gone by. It's no more than a clock ticking. Think of depreciation as a clock. It's not real cash. However, in computing the profit, you have to take it out because it affects the taxes. So it's like, as long as the taxman is looking, it is there, and when the guy takes his taxes and go away, you put it back, because it should never have been taken out in the first place. It's not a cash flow, so you add it back to cash. The next thing we have to understand is why we have to subtract the increase in receivables, the increase in inventory. Not the level of receivables or the level of inventory, but the increase in those things. The next illustration shows you why that is the case. In this illustration, what you see is, there is a company which, again, just an illustration. In the first year, it's got revenues of 10 per month, every month. In the second year, it has revenues of 15 per month. So in the first year, it has a total revenue of 120. In the second year, it's got a revenue of 180, which is 15 times 12. Unfortunately, collection period is 2 months, which means the customer takes 2 months to pay. So let's look at what the collections are in the first year. In the first year, you get nothing in period 1, you get nothing in period 2, because the customer pays in month 3 for what you did in month 1. So the cash flows begin in period 3, and in the first year you get only 10 of them. So the total cash inflow in the first year is 10 times 10, which is 100. In the second year, what do? You collect the previous 2 months of 10, so you get 20, and then you got 10 months left of year 2 to collect 150 each, because the same cycle continues. So in the year 1, you have collections of 100. In year 2, you have a collections of 150 plus 20, which is 170. Contrast that with the revenue of 120 in the first year and 180 in the second year. The collections are quite different, but you can arrive at the collections or the net cash flow by looking at the revenue number and subtracting essentially 2 months of increase in receivables. Take for instance what happens at the beginning of year 2. The increase in receivables is what? Is 2 months of receivables in the second year is 30. 2 months of receivables in the first year is 20. The increase in receivables is 10. 30 minus 20. So what you do in the second year is you take the revenue of 180 and subtract the increase in the receivables. That will give you the correct answer. But the real reason is, this is what we need to do, is we need to adjust for the fact that you're not getting paid for 2 months. And the more the revenue increases, the more you have to keep adding investment in receivables. It's like, easiest way to think of it is a level of receivables, a level of working capital can support a certain level of revenue. When you increase the revenue level, you have to add a little more in order to support the increased revenue. That's it. So increase in working capital is the additional investment that you make at the beginning of year 2 in order to arrive at cash flow. So this is the lesson for this session. We will go on in the next lesson to talk about how do you actually compute the value of a